over a campfire. Chapter 5. Lost in the Hike. The soft, pale light of dawn spilled lazily over the hills, casting silver linings across the tree canopies that bordered the Silver Pines nature retreat. A fine mist hung in the air like silk suspended mid-breath, weaving through pine trunks and around the cabins, blurring the outlines of the waking world. The air was thick with the warmth of deep sleep. Blankets tangled around limbs, muffled snores curled into corners, and the muffled rustle of branches outside barely stirred the slumbering girls. It was only when the shrill double beep of Miss Carr's morning bell echoed through the retreat that signs of reluctant life began to emerge. "Ugh!" groaned Mia from the lower bunk, burying her face into her pillow like it was her final protest against civilization. "I feel like a tree fell on me." Gina, tangled in her hoodie and half-covered by a blanket that had slipped off during the night, gave a half-conscious grunt. "Tell the sun to go back down. 5 more minutes." Above them, Hannah was already sitting up, legs folded neatly beneath her, eyes half-lidded but awake. The air that trickled in through the open cabin window made her nose pink and her arms wrapped tighter around the soft lavender shawl she had remembered to bring. She took in a deep breath, long and thoughtful. "It feels like winter," she whispered to herself, glancing outside. The pine trees stood dusted in dew, unmoved and noble in the chill. Their shadows reached long over the campsite like fingers stretching from the sky. There was something about this cold that felt unfamiliar, yet comforting. It wasn't the clinical chill of air conditioning set to maximum in her father's imported SUV. It wasn't the perfumed cool of marble-floored foyers with central air vents humming above chandeliers. This was something else. Raw, real, honest. She stepped quietly down from the bunk, careful not to wake Gina fully just yet, and padded over to the window ledge. Her breath came out in delicate clouds. She pressed her fingertips to the glass frame and smiled at the sharp, refreshing bite of the morning air. Behind her, Lena stirred. "Oh no, what time is it? Are we late for yoga?" Mia muttered. "If we're lucky, it's still midnight, and that was a dream bell." Gina groaned, flailing an arm upward. "If Miss Cara makes us hold warrior pose again while birds laugh at me, I swear." "Come on," Hannah said gently, pulling open the cabin door just a crack. A rush of cool air slipped in, carrying with it the scent of pine, damp soil, and distant smoke from the breakfast fire. "Get up, you sleepy beasts. You're missing the best part of the day." Her voice, uncharacteristically chipper, caught the others off guard. Minutes later, half-dressed and shivering in mismatched layers, the 4 girls stumbled out of the cabin, joining a slow, scattered stream of yawning students all trudging toward the yoga clearing. Some wore jackets zipped to the chin, others had socks over their sweatpants. A few, like Ethan from Team 2, had clearly just rolled out of bed, still blinking sleep out of his eyes and clutching a blanket around him like a cloak. Miss Cara, already seated on her mat, radiated calm annoyance. "Good morning, campers." Or, for those of you who believe the sun rises only for others, good almost afternoon. A few giggles rippled through the group. Most students dropped onto their mats like deflated balloons, limbs splayed, too tired to be embarrassed. "Let's greet the morning with gratitude," Miss Cara announced, voice rising over the breeze. "Inhale the newness. Exhale the weariness. Remember, your body is your compass. Let it rise." Gina nudged Hannah as they bent into a forward fold. "Did she say let it rise like bread?" "Shoo," Hannah whispered back, half laughing, half focused. "Let your brain rise, Gina." After what felt like an eternity of downward dogs and sleepy sun salutations, the yoga session ended. The students shuffled toward the dining hall, guided more by the scent of warm bread and eggs than by any human intention. Inside, the hall glowed with the golden light of lanterns and the aroma of steaming rice porridge, freshly buttered toast, and scrambled eggs. Wooden benches creaked under tired bodies. Someone yawned so wide it looked like their soul tried to escape. Hannah sipped on warm ginger lemon tea as she stared out the large window to the misty forest beyond. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold. Her hands cupped the clay mug like a precious gem. "This morning," she said softly to no one in particular, "feels like a poem." Gina, chewing on toast, raised a brow. "A cold, soggy poem?" "No," Hannah said, smiling. "Like the kind you want to memorize. even if it makes no sense. Lena leaned back, sipping her hot chocolate, watching Hannah with curiosity. You're really into this camp stuff, huh? Hannah nodded, then looked out again, eyes dreamy. I think this might be the first morning in a long time I've really felt something. And I don't want it to go away. The morning fog lingered like a sleepy ghost in the trees as the students gathered in the clearing behind the cabins. The breakfast buzz had faded, and now a sense of drowsy anticipation floated through the cold mountain air. Cabin groups huddled near wooden signposts, their breath visible in little puffs, some tightening backpack straps, others still rubbing the sleep from their eyes. Ms. Blakely, in her thick forest green windbreaker, stood by a chalkboard propped against a stump. With her clipboard in hand and whistle around her neck, she tapped the board with her pen. Blue Pine Trail, it read in white chalk. Duration, 1 hour. Elevation mild. Supervision, full. Rules, no wandering, no touching wildlife, no heroics. Especially that last one, Ms. Rayner added sharply, eyeing Rory, who was crouched near the woods pretending to track something with a stick. It could be a bear, Rory declared, lifting his stick like a spear. Or a mountain cat. Zoe rolled his eyes and crossed her arms. We're more likely to see a squirrel than a bear. And even that would run away screaming from you. Rory straightened. Squirrels respect me. You named a squirrel yesterday and fed it your corn muffin, Zoe replied dryly. That's not respect. That's bribery. Ms. Blakely clapped her hands sharply to regain order. All right, everyone, listen up. For our next activity, we're switching things up. You'll be in new groups, 2 boys, 2 girls, and 1 teacher each. She scanned her clipboard, then read aloud. Group 1. Hannah Carlisle, Gina Alvarez, Mike Lou, Darnell. The moment she said the last name, Mike groaned under his breath. Seriously? Gina shot him a warning look while Hannah glanced nervously at Darnell, who stood with his arms crossed. Group 1, you'll be with Ms. Collins, Ms. Blakely continued. Ms. Collins stepped forward, giving them a warm smile. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do together. Let's make this fun, all right? Mike muttered. Fun would have been not getting paired with Mr. Grumpy over there. Darnell raised a brow. Say that again, loud enough for the squirrels to hear too. Gina rolled her eyes. Guys, it's just a team. Let's not turn it into a reality show. Hannah stood quietly between them, hoping silently that their team could at least survive the afternoon without someone getting tossed into the woods. Everyone was instructed to return to their cabins to get ready for the upcoming hike. Miss Collins called out over the low chatter. 15 minutes. Everyone, wear your closed-toe shoes, grab your hats, sunscreen, and water bottles. It's not a marathon, but you'll thank yourselves later. Groans and shuffles followed as students split off toward their respective cabins. Hannah and Gina, now back in 4B, rummaged through their backpacks. Do you think we'll see any wild animals? Gina asked, pulling on a light hoodie. I hope not, Hannah replied, tightening her ponytail and glancing at her hiking shoes like they were armor. I just hope I don't trip in front of everyone. Gina grinned. Then walk behind me. If you fall, I'll make it look like a cool dance move. Lena came over to chat with the girls. Hey, Lena greeted, brushing a few loose strands of hair from her forehead. You look all smiley this morning. What's up? Hannah turned with a wide grin. I'm actually excited. The trail looks beautiful. Fresh air, birds, the sound of leaves under your boots, and some wild animals, you know? Lena chuckled and glanced toward the misty tree line. You say that now. Wait till we hit the uphill parts. It's going to be a leg-burning, sweat-dripping kind of beautiful. Hannah laughed, shaking her head. That's okay. I'd rather be tired from hiking than bored at home. This is the first time I've done anything like this. Lena tilted her head. Really? Yeah, Hannah admitted, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. My parents don't usually let me do stuff like this, but I begged them this time. Well, let's see how that turns out. I haven't had a great experience hiking any time, said Lena. Suddenly, Lena let out a triumphant gasp as she unzipped the front pocket of her hiking bag and found what she'd been searching for, her beloved Polaroid camera. There you are, she exclaimed, holding it up like she'd just discovered a hidden gem. I knew I packed you. I'm not that forgetful. Gina, who was brushing her hair nearby, turned and raised an eyebrow. Did you seriously just find that now? Lena laughed, clutching the camera to her chest. Yes, I must have shoved it in here last minute. I was freaking out all morning thinking I left it back home. I mean, that does sound like something you'd do, Gina teased, smirking. Lena stuck out her tongue playfully. Well, it's coming with me on the hike. I'm documenting everything. First camp trip memories deserve hard copies. Just don't drop it in the mud, Hannah said with a smile, tying her shoelaces on her bed. I won't, Lena promised, slipping the camera strap over her wrist and testing the shutter with a soft click. Imagine the look on Rory's face if we actually run into a bear. Instant classic, Gina snorted. You're gonna scare the wildlife away with that thing. Or attract it, Lena grinned, grabbing a spare pack of film. Either way, adventure's about to get a whole lot more photogenic. Well, brace yourselves, girls, Lena said with a teasing smirk. I may be snapping a million photos, but when my legs give out halfway through, you're dragging me back to camp. Hannah laughed again, the sound light and genuine. Deal. I'll carry your camera and take epic shots of your dramatic downfall. Lena playfully gasped. Only if you promise to give me photo credit. Hannah raised a mock scout salute. Scout's honor. Across the hall, Mike was hopping on one foot trying to fix his sock while muttering, 15 minutes? Ms. Blakely's concept of time is militarized. Meanwhile, Darnell was already waiting by the door of his cabin, arms crossed. Some of us don't need a fashion show to go walk in the woods, he quipped to no one in particular. Back at the trailhead, Ms. Blakely gathered the group again, her clipboard in hand. All right, campers, remember, stay on the marked trail, no wandering off. Don't touch any plants or insects you're not sure about. If you feel tired, speak up. We're here to explore, not to rescue. Zoe, already sipping from his water bottle, joked. And if Rory starts running after a bear, we're not liable, right? Ms. Blakely gave him a deadpan look. Only if the bear signs the release form. Laughter rippled through the group as they formed lines behind their assigned teachers, ready to begin the hour-long hike through the winding forest path. Each team was handed a folded trail map and a basic compass, tools meant to amplify the sense of adventure. Ms. Rayner distributed them with a stern reminder. This isn't just a walk in the woods. You're hikers now. Respect the trail, respect the map, and respect the forest. The paper crinkled in Hannah's hands as she unfolded her group's map, her eyes scanning the highlighted route. Point A to B, then to C, forming a neat triangle through the outer loop of the campgrounds. The trail began just past the old oak tree near the dining hall, its limbs draped in morning mist. Each group set off one after the other, spaced out for safety, but close enough for the teachers to keep track. Shoes crunched over pine needles and gravel as the line of young hikers filed into the forest. Sunlight trickled down through the trees, glinting off dew-dappled leaves. Birds chirped in hidden branches, and every now and then, someone would pause to point out a squirrel or a strange-shaped rock. I feel like we're in some sort of survival movie, Jason said, dramatically clutching the compass and pretending to steer the group. Captain Whitman leads his crew to safety, or doom. Gina rolled her eyes. You're holding the compass upside down, Captain. I knew that, Jason said quickly, rotating it as the others chuckled. Behind them, Mike studied the map seriously. If we take this fork to the right, it'll shave off a few minutes. Darnell frowned. And ignore the marked route? Yeah, let's all get eaten by a bear because Mike wants a shortcut. I'm just saying it's faster. Mike shot back. It's not about fast, Darnell muttered. It's about not being dumb. Guys, Hannah interjected quietly, holding the map up between them. The main trail passes a lookout point at sea. Don't you want to see the view? Reluctantly, both boys mumbled their agreement and kept walking. From behind, Miss Jordan called out gently, nice teamwork, trailblazers. Remember, sometimes the scenic route is the best part. As the group curved along the path toward Point B, the forest seemed to open up into a soft, green tunnel, and the first true feeling of being deep in nature settled over them. Peaceful, curious, alive. As the trailblazers approached Point C, an open, rocky ledge with a sweeping view of the distant hills, Hannah slowed down, drawn by something along the edge of the trail. While the others clustered near the lookout for a break, she drifted a few steps off to the side, where the path narrowed and dipped beneath an overhanging branch. There, partially hidden under some moss and leaves, was a small, smooth stone propped up against a root. What caught her eye wasn't the stone itself, but the strange symbol etched deep into its surface. An intricate spiral enclosed within a triangle, the lines unnaturally precise, almost glowing faintly beneath the moss. Her breath hitched. She looked over her shoulder. No one had noticed her stray from the group. She crouched down, brushing the moss away completely. The carving gave her a strange feeling. Not fear exactly, but a kind of pulling curiosity, like the way you lean in toward a whisper without meaning to. "What are you doing?" Gina's voice called distantly. "Coming," Hannah replied quickly. She glanced at the stone once more, then hesitated for a while before slipping it into her jacket pocket. It was cool to the touch, heavier than it looked. When she looked up, Hannah saw the group had walked way ahead and were taking a left turn by a tall tree. She thought she should start walking diagonally to be able to catch up with them, or else she will lose sight of them as soon as the last student crosses that tree. As they made their way between checkpoints, the terrain grew a bit trickier. The leafy trail split briefly around a cluster of thick brush and sloped tree roots. By the time Hannah realized the trees had grown denser and the voices of the others had faded behind her, her pulse quickened. She turned around, heart thudding, and retraced her steps, but the woods all looked the same. A cold breeze rustled through the tall pines, and for a moment, she stood still, uncertain. The stillness of the forest pressed in. "Hello," she called out, her voice soft, uncertain. Only the rustle of leaves replied. Her heart thumped faster. Every bush seemed alive. Every bird call, sharper. She turned in a small circle, trying to recall which direction they'd come from. But the trees looked the same in all directions. For the first time, she felt the forest wasn't just peaceful, it was unknowable. She continued walking, trying not to panic, but her mind spiraled. What if she went further the wrong way? What if no one noticed she was missing? What if she had to stay here overnight?